Hey, it's Ed again. I guess I'm thinking that I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more about me and my situation. But right now I am driving home from staying a couple of nights with my sister on a busy street, by the way. I'm sure I could probably get pulled over and get a nice big ticket for this. But what can you do about it? So, let's see, I am disabled. How did I get that way? Well, it's very simple to explain. When I was younger, about 25, 26 years old, I got into a car accident where a guy rear-ended me doing about 65 miles an hour, and which gave me whiplash for one thing, but also hurt me to where my vertebrae in the lower part of my back ruptured and began to give me a lot of pain. And so for the last 20 to 25 years, I've been on painkillers. I started on the simple oxycodone, which is, 325 with, I forget whatever the number is for the low doses of oxycodone. But of course, I worked myself up for my long acting pain meds until eventually I was on morphine, the little red pill you swallow every 12 hours. And that would give me, at first, it would give me a euphoric feeling where I felt high and my productivity started to go up and I was able to do more. And eventually I started managing an eyeglass center in North Fort Myers, Florida, where I'm from. And I did that for about 15 years while taking pain meds. And what I found is that if while I was on there at the beginning, I could just swallow them whole and get that natural euphoric feeling high. And I would take, first I started off with 1, 2, 3, then it jumped to 15 and 20 pills at a time, where I would get that high and feel good for like the next 12 to 24 hours. And I felt good, like I could do anything. And so that went on for about 10 years. And during that time, I met my second wife, because my first wife left me, because she was going to college at the time, and I was a floor covering salesperson. And I was in sales, and I made a pretty good living at doing that. I was a salaried salesperson, which is kind of unheard of. But then through some strife that was going on at my workplace, I lost my full-time paid salary and became a commission salesperson. And because I had spent the last 6 years doing all the grunt work for one of the owners, I didn't really have any accounts of my own, without trying to steal one of the owners of the employment's accounts. And so it was left on my own to go out and find accounts on my own. But we were such a high-end floor covering company that our prices were skyrocketing high, and people just couldn't afford to have us work for them, no matter what quality of floor covering we laid down and installed, with the quality of installations that we had with our subcontractors. So, I would get maybe 2 or 3 sales a month from senior citizen people that are retiring and they're wanting to remodel their house and put floor covering down. So I would do maybe 5 to 8, $6,000 to $10,000 projects a month, which is not that very much. So my wife at the time, my first wife, was working full time, plus going to college at the same time. She wanted to become a teacher, but to save money, what we did was we moved in with my dad in his dilapidated trailer in North Fort Myers. And of course, my dad was kind enough to not charge me any rent. So I was blessed with that part. But my wife looked at my dad and the problems that he had, and she thought that I would get the same problems mentally that he had, and I would become like him. Now, he's much better now, I have to say, about what he is, and the way he acts. He tells me that he has gotten his PhD in psychology, and I don't know if he has or not. He shows me diplomas. I don't know if they're real or not, but he's got people that have become friends with him that look at him as having those positions, and so I've got to do props up for my dad. But at the time, he wasn't in that situation, and my first wife looked at me and thought I was becoming like my father, and so she left me. And then my floor covering job tanked, and so I pretty much went in to quit, and they were going to let me go at the same day, because what would happen is that I would become sick and could only work maybe one day a week, and I hated going to work. So I quit that, turned in my keys, and became a call center technician for Apple computers. People would call in with their computer problems, and we could fix their problems. And I was great at sales. So once I fixed their problems, I could offer up, a battery backup that they would need for their computer to make sure, because a lot of the problems they were having were power issues. So once we fixed that problem, I would offer up a battery backup supply that would help them get the correct amount of voltage into their computer. And so I sold thousands of battery backups over the 2 years that I worked for them. And there was even one month when my sales topped the entire sales for another call center in Texas. I think the name of the company that I worked for was Calltech, and then it became Teleperformance. And I know they have a couple of businesses overseas, and I think they may have 1 or 2 call centers left in the States. Most of their call centers are in India, where when you call up, you get Bob, the friendly technician. And so I did that for 2 years, and when they closed down the center, I went out looking for another job. And then that's when I met Dr. Tucker and interviewed for a position there and started working there as the checkout guy. And I did that for about 2 months. And then the girl that was running the center quit. And so I became the manager of the doctor's office, and I made pretty good money doing that. During the whole time I was married to my second wife, which she shall remain nameless in case she sees this video, but during that time I was addicted to drugs. But what I need to do right now is I need to pause this video because I have got to get gas, and then I will be back here in just a little bit. So talk to you soon. Bye bye.